morning and welcome to LNG Marketplace Weekly News Flash. Here is the latest news we have selected for you from all over the media. Affinity Shipping has facilitated the first LNG freight swap settled against the Baltic Exchange LNG spot assessment. The first trade represents an important milestone in the development of LNG forward freight market. Using the Baltic Exchange assessments might help to benchmark the freight exposure and develop a forward market for hedging price risk. Last year, the charter rates increased from an average $50,000 a day to above $200,000 a day. This we read on Hellenic Shipping News. LNG traders trying to find the best destination in an oversupplied market are having problems delivering to Spain. Although there is regasification capacity, the tanks in Spain are practically full because the operators are playing a contango. The price structure whereby today's LNG fetches a lower price than in the future, so some traders store the fuel to deliver at a more attractive price later in the year. The situation illustrates how the global LNG market has been upturned by the soaring production in the Atlantic Basin and benign Asian demand, as stated on Reuters and Montel News. Russia approved LNG terminal on Arctic Sea proposed by the Russian gas producer Novatek. The facility will be located in the northwest Murmansk region. The project is part of Novatek's plan to develop the North Sea route, a shipping route running from Murmansk near Russia's border with Norway to the Bering Strait near on the Arctic Sea. The company is looking at expanding LNG exports to Asia via this route, which cuts the journey by 10 days, compared to the traditional journey which includes passing through the Suez Canal. This piece of news we have found on Kallanish Energy. And another piece of news regarding Russia's Arctic LNG. The last of 15 Arc-7 class tankers ordered for the LNG production plant Yamal LNG in Russia's Arctic North are undergoing sea trials around a South Korean shipyard. Yamal is dependent on the icebreaker tankers to ship LNG out of the Arctic waters. The tankers largely conduct ship-to-ship transfers in Europe to conventional carriers for onward delivery. Check Finance Yahoo for more information. LNG bunkering operations will grow in the U.S. starting in 2020, in line with increased demand from new dual-fuel vessels entering the North American market. Ship owners that have opted to burn LNG as a marine fuel to comply with IMO's 2020 sulfur cap will benefit from the world's first LNG bunker-articulated tug barge unit, ATB, due to enter service next year. The ATB is being chartered by Shell to initially bunker 4 intentionally flagged dual-shipped calling in the U.S. The ATB is being built for quality liquefied natural gas transport. ATB consists of dedicated tug and barge designed with a notched stern and coupling system. When delivered, the ATB will join the Clean Jacksonville as the only LNG bunker vessel in the U.S., as we read on Rivera Maritime Media. According to WSAU News Portal, China National Offshore Oil signed an agreement with Abu Dhabi National Oil on upstream exploration development, oil refining, and LNG trading. The companies will share in the latest know-how in developing ultra-acidic natural gas fields and explore cooperating in LNG markets and purchases. Kinder Morgan's Gulf LNG project in Pascagoula, Mississippi, has been granted an approval. The site was originally developed as an import terminal in 2009, but in 2015, the company filed an application to redevelop part of the facility as an export terminal. It's the 5th liquefied natural gas export project approved so far this year in the U.S. This piece of news we found on Houston Chronicle. Liquefied Natural Gas Limited, an Australian-based developer of LNG terminals, plans to re-domicile in the U.S. and lists its shares in New York as the company concentrates on projects in North America. In the Australian market, the company felt undervalued, and being listed there has made it hard for investors to compare it to other U.S. LNG terminal developers. This we read on Bloomberg. Total will provide LNG to Benin in a 15-year agreement starting in 2021. The French major will develop and operate the regasification infrastructure that will comprise of a floating storage and regasification unit located offshore Benin and an offshore pipeline connected to the existing and planned power plants. This we have read on worldoil.com. That's it for this week. Tune in next week for more news, and until then, thanks for tuning in.